Hello, everybody. A very good afternoon and an absolutely warm welcome to Women Returning to Work. Empower and protect yourself when you return to work. We're so happy to have all of you here with us. Thank you so much for taking precious time off on this Friday afternoon. And of course, I do see a lot of you who are posting into the chat function right now. Very good afternoon to all of my dear lady friends. We've got Ting Ting Xia, Karen, Anandi, Pauline, etc. Thank you so much for joining us here. So of course, everybody, just to check if you can see and hear me, could you just write it into the chat box function, just so I know that everything's working fine. All right. Great, fantastic. Thank you very much for the many reassuring yeses. Fantastic to know. So everybody, ladies, I believe we have a lot of ladies in our audience today. So welcome, welcome. And of course, we might have a few gentlemen over here. And if you are, we applaud you. So yes, for those of you who are not yet familiar, once again, an absolutely warm welcome to Protect Yourself from Gender-Based Discrimination When You Return to Work webinar. And this is organized by NTUC Learning Hub, NTUC Women and Family Unit, as well as E2I. My name is Karen. It's a pleasure here to be your host for today. So yes, everybody, you can stop typing the yeses for now. Thank you so much. You guys are absolutely sweet. Now, if you've got any questions during the whole seminar, feel free to use the Q&A box, okay? Because if you put it into the chat function, it could be just, swept away with the overwhelming responses, okay? So just to make sure that we do not miss out your questions, please use the Q&A function to key in your queries, and we'll do our best to address them later on. So of course, now, why exactly are we hosting this webinar today? Now, the government has announced earlier in January that 2021 is declared as the year of celebrating SG women. And in fact, they have held 160 national conversations on women's development since last year, involving nearly 6,000 people of both genders, out of which there were 5 themes that emerged from the conversations: having equal workplace opportunities, better support for caregivers, stronger protection for women, more support for vulnerable women, and the need for a broad push to overcome stereotypes about gender roles. In fact, just last week, there was a newspaper article where our president, Madam Halimah Yacob, said it's time to take actions on solutions for women's development. So I really do think that today's webinar has come in such a timely fashion for us to review and find out more about the issues that fellow women are facing. Now, I believe many women in our audience here today, you will agree that we wear many hats. We are a daughter, a sister, a mother, a wife, and at the same time, you are like the bao ka liao. Everything must do at home. But unfortunately, we are also being subjected to various challenges simply because of our gender. So, which is why we hope that this webinar today will help you gain a better understanding of your legal rights and entitlements, empowering you to protect yourself even if you face unwelcome behavior at work. Now, today I'm not here alone. I'm very delighted to have with me a wonderful panel of ladies who will be shedding light on the various issues. First of all, we do have Yo Wan Ling, Director, NTUC USME and Youth, Women and Family. Now, unfortunately, Wan Ling is being held up by an earlier event, so she will be doing her best to join us later on. For now, we do have with us Angeline, Senior Specialist, NTUC U Women and Family. Hi, Angeline.
Hi there. Hello, hello.
And of course, on top of that, we also have with us Dwayne Hui, Country HR Head, Singapore and South Korea, Tata Consultancy Services. Hi, Dwayne.
Hello, hi everyone. Thanks for having me.
And last but not least, Kelly Sofian, Chief People Officer, Southeast Asia, Monday Nissan, Singapore.
Hi everyone, nice to be here.
Thank you very much, ladies. Once again, to all of our friends who are joining us, feel free to share your experiences and your questions via the Q&A function at any time. Now, before we move on, I'll first like to hand the spotlight over to Angeline, who will be sharing with us more about Women Returning to Work initiative. Angeline, please.
Hey, thanks, Kareem. So just to share a little bit more, the Women Returning to Work initiative is one that is jointly led by NTUC Women and Family, NTUC Learning Hub, and E2I, which I believe all of you will already be quite familiar with right now. So this initiative is really intended for women like you yourself, who are considering to return to the workforce after taking a career break by providing you with knowledge, the skills, and networking opportunities through a series of webinars, such as the one that you're here with us today. And we even have a virtual career fair with more than 500 curated job opportunities offering flexible work arrangements, reduced hours, and family benefits from more than over 100 progressive employers over a variety of industries. So I hope you really have made time to check it out, and because we know that these are quite important to help you juggle your caregiving responsibilities as you consider going back to the workforce itself. So just to share a little bit more about what we do over at NTUC Women and Family, we strive to be the voice of working women by providing you with choices through new and alternative job opportunities and career options, and protecting you on the choices that you make, and supporting you through your different life stages so as to allow you to maximize your fullest potential and really to reach for the stars and beyond.
All right, thank you very much, Angeline. Before we move on, Cami, could you stop sharing screen, please? Thank you very much. All right. So of course, to all of our audience members, we will be moving on to different themes from time to time. Feel free to air your voices. We would love to hear from all of you. Now, we will first begin about maternity and childcare leave. So would any of our panelists like to advise us, okay, as of legal rights, how many days off are mummies and daddies actually being entitled to? Anyone? Kelly, Dwayne?
So sounds like a quiz. It's 16 weeks. So for women back to work, when maternity leave are 16 weeks, right? So these are available to women back to work. So these are also promoted, whether you are, so the main key one is actually talking about the child itself, right? For all citizen child, you are 16 weeks. So that's a very general guideline.
See. So is it the same for mummies and daddies, or is it different?
Maternity leave is for mothers. Of course, there's a paternity leave as well. And the interesting part about now that we have this shared parental leave, right? So the daddy can actually take some, actually is about a month, right? From the maternity leave. So this is called parental shared leave.
So that means that there's 4 weeks, right? 4 months, sorry, 4 months of maternity leave. So out of which the fathers can actually take in 4 weeks, which is 1 month. Am I right? Just to clarify a bit.
Yes, I think it's 1 month. Yes.
Yes,
Yes, it's 1 month.
So how do we is there a system in place to make sure that dads actually play their part, or how do we make sure that this shared parental leave actually work? Because the husbands and wives may not be in the same cooperation.
Actually, I usually get questions like, do I take my because you are also for parents, let's say the husband, right? They also have a paternity leave, right? So, and then they always say that, how do I then take care of my newborn, right? So we say, why don't you just take a look at this what we call shared parental. So of course, the process-wise, you will have to go through, okay, technically, by black and white, right? It's written in the form, the guidance is actually, you have to seek your wife permission, yeah? And then of course, once it's done, then it's just processing it and then just take it. So actually at workplace, I actually have 2 male employees actually take advantage of this. And they were quite happy because it's their first child, right? So it's quite encouraging to see them do that as well. Yeah.
Just to clarify, we've got an audience member, Evelyn, who said that 4 weeks equals 28 days, not 1 month. Would any of the ladies be able to advise?
We usually count by weeks rather than days. Yeah, so that's why it's structured in like 16 weeks and not 4 months. Yeah, so if you go through, it's easier when you take block, right? When we say block leave 8 weeks rather than 2 months. Because if you say 8 weeks, it actually covers all the holidays as well. It's inclusive. Yeah,
Right.
so when you say like 10, 8 weeks, you just count from that 10 onwards, rather than you say month. So it's just a little bit of technicality, but there is some slight difference if you really calculate. So I think it's best to just follow the guidance to use 16 weeks.
I see. So Dwayne, on your side, have you seen any male employees or any gentlemen who have actually utilized this shared parental leave?
Yes, I think from our side, right? Because I think from what I remember, the shared parental leave has actually only been increased recently to 4 weeks. This was actually strongly favored by our employees, especially they felt that, you see, during that first 1 month period, right, they really like to be around with their wife during this period, right? So I think there are employees who actually use this. I'm not seeing a lot, but this is definitely something that we have actually gotten a sensing in terms of how they actually react to these new changes, right? So they kind of like favor with this, because even if this is not given to them, right, they will also want to take their leave to actually spend time with their wife as well.
I see. I think this is definitely something that is very heartening to hear, especially for all the ladies who are expecting or hoping to start a family in due course. But this also shows that definitely our society is moving forward with a mentality that we should not stereotype gender roles. In fact, both fathers and mothers have a part to play in a child's upbringing. Right. So my next question will be like, so if let's say I am a contract part-time or temporary employee, then will I still be able to enjoy maternity leave, shared parental leave, or is there any difference to my entitlement?
So from a law perspective, right, the reading is that only full-time and also fixed-term contract who is actually fulfilling the 44 hours work week is actually entitled. At this point in time, right, the law does not say that for temporary and also part-time is actually eligible. But at the end of the day, right, how we actually look at it also is that if we have temporary staff who is actually with us for a while, right, we will also consider giving it. And definitely this is something that we want to take a very compassionate account when we look at maternity leave. So this is the stand from the organization itself.
What about Kelly?
Part-timers, okay, at this moment, we actually encourage full-time workers. So our subsidiary in Singapore are all full-timers, right? So we do encourage that, but I think I agree with Gwen. I think these are some of the things that they will feel inclusive. Yeah, if they join you, although they may not be entitled, maybe there are some reasons, just like we also have family care days, yeah, for the employees as well. So they could take some of this to actually spend some time with their newborn.
Sure. Thank you very much. So of course, everybody, I think this is very much dependent on the organization that you are part of. So you may have to initiate certain conversations to find out more then. Next question then. So if let's say I have more than one child, I have a few children, okay, would I be entitled to more childcare leave in such an instance?
So the answer to that is no, according to what the law says. But there's always options of annual leaves and all those things that you can actually exhaust as well. Yeah.
Unfortunately, that is the truth that we need to face. But having said that, I think sharing from my own perspective is that there was a period of time when I was working with the government, and I realized that they have initiatives like, oh, eat with your family day, or so that's when staff were able to get off work after lunch so that they could go back and cook or do the necessary prep or order food, etc., to have meals with your loved ones. So once again, I think it's very much dependent on the organizations that you are working for. All right. So thank you very much. In the chat function wise, I'm glad to see that we've got quite a few friends who are sharing their thoughts as well. So we also have, yes, somebody was asking, February, if so nice, it just so happens that I'm taking the parental leave in February. In a way, I lose out a bit because February has lesser days. Okay, yes, I think Desmond has very nicely answered that question, because he mentioned that different months will have different numbers of days, right? So like February will be a bit shorter in that sense. So which is why it's actually defined according to weeks and not months. Okay, just to make sure that it's a bit more fair. And of course, Lydia has also shared a link.
Sorry. Hi, Karine. This is Wan Ling.
Oh, hi, Wan Ling. Thank you so much.
Hi. So, Karine, I think, all right, I wanted to chime in now. I've been listening to the questions a little bit, and I think, right, it's quite interesting, what all our audience are asking. But anyway, hi, everybody. My name is Wan Ling. I'm actually the director for the Women and Family Unit over at NTUC. But you know what? I wanted to debut here by talking about what Desmond talked about just now. I thought, right, it was very interesting that Desmond came in to talk about parental leave. And in this case, it will be paternity leave, I guess.
Yes. Yeah, because we were talking about like maternity leave and then the shared parental leave.
Yes, that's right.
So just to clarify, like weeks, days, months, would you be able to advise?
Yes, actually, one of the things, right, that we always felt over the Women and Family Unit is that, child raising, and caregiving is actually a shared, responsibility between mummies and daddies, and one of the things that I actually spoke in Parliament about was actually, right, it would be wonderful if this area of shared responsibility, can actually be even more pronounced. And we were even talking about championing how part of the maternity leave can also be something that would pertain to sharing the maternity leave between moms and dads. Because I think we've all moved to a 21st century already lah, and I also think, right, that this is a lot of dads are also coming to us, to say that, how do we play a larger role in child caregiving, in looking after kids and all that, and they also want to be very powerful stakeholders, in the child's caregiving. So I think these are things that we will push towards, in terms of legislation. But of course, at the tripartite side, with the labor movement and all that, the idea here is also to see how we're able to also set up certain guidelines when it comes to companies, looking at this. Now, I don't know whether this is a vestige of older style management and all that. A lot of dads have come to us to say that, hey, we would very much love, to take more parental leave for our kids, but we're actually a little bit worried about how our employers would, take to it or look at us, doing this. And I think, right, that this is something that at many levels, we try to address. And there's one particular level which I thought was quite useful. We actually have a fair practices work group that is set up, and under this fair practices work group is a tripartite type of partnership. So it's between the employers, MOM, as well as the labor movement. One of the things that we're trying to do is also to see whether or not we can make sure that, if moms or dads, face I would say adverse, or unfair, treatment during the time of their maternity or paternity leave, the labor movement will go after the company. So yes, so I'm very glad that Desmond, our audience, brought up this topic, because it is something that I see more dads coming up, and of course we also have a lot of advocacy groups like Dads for Life. Yeah. So, okay, anyway, I just want to chime in, and thanks, Desmond, for bringing that up. It was a wonderful kai chang bai for me.
Thank you so much. I would say that honestly, because I myself, I'm an events host, right? So before COVID struck in, I've hosted a number of events like Embracing Parenthood. In case we've got young daddies and mummies and you don't know what that is about, basically there will be a CC event that will be held, and there are some perks for you guys after your child is given birth to. But unfortunately, I think due to COVID, there are some restrictions now, which is why you don't really see it as much. But it's very interesting because I've seen more and more dads getting involved in all these kind of events where they bring the kids out, and some dads are actually a lot more hands-on because they can tell that their wife are quite overwhelmed. So it's really quite an interesting and a very heartening phenomenon for me to witness.
Yes.
So we do have Sean here.
Our dads are very progressive, okay?
Yes, good job, dads. I hope to see that more. Okay, earlier on, Dwayne has advised that unfortunately, even if you've got more than one child, sorry, your childcare leave will still remain the same because of, that's just how it works. So Sean is asking if they are expecting twins or triplets, would the maternity leave be more?
Well, actually, right, it has to do with the what do you call that? The occasion of birthing. So
Okay.
no, the answer is no. So it's per time. But, this was a interesting, it's not the first time that someone brought it up, and I think, right, it goes beyond just whether or not it's twins or triplets. I actually think, right, it is a larger thing, a larger phenomenon, that actually people have different ways of wanting to look after their children. And also another bit too, right, is that children, right, are not all born the same. So I would like to this also, right, together with special needs. I think what happens, right, is that someone else, had put it in the chat, and I saw it pop up just now about, it's difficult also for parents dealing with special needs children and their conditions. And I think, right, that this needs to be a whole of, it has to be a whole ecosystem approach to this. So it's not just about taking leave, it's not about having an impact to your work productivity, because at the end of it all, I hope that everybody can have their cake and eat it. That means to have a very fulfilling family life, but also at the same time to have a fulfilling, job and career. And I think, right, that the larger ecosystem of care needs to come in. I.e., right, during this COVID-19 period, one of the things that we saw was that there was a lot of parents who were very concerned because their helpers couldn't get into Singapore, or for very new parents, their confinement nannies couldn't get into Singapore. And I believe, right, that in Singapore, we would actually need to beef up the system. We need to beef out, right, our own local resources when it comes to helping people through the confinement period. And if you ask me, why does the confinement period need to be only 28 days? It can stretch out to something even more. And actually, this is something that over at the Women and Family Unit, over the NTUC, together, right, with our friends from Learning Hub, we're trying to professionalize some women careers. The careers that women would do very well in and have a very good income on. And one of it, right, is actually looking to see whether or not we can have a good training program so that we can actually train more qualified confinement nannies. And I saw another chat that popped up. You're right. For people who look after babies and toddlers. So I think, right, this is an enhanced part of our ecosystem that we need to continue to build, and I believe that this is a win-win situation because this can also give very, very good jobs for women who want to remain in the workforce, or women returning to work, or even retirees, very, very strong retirees. We're talking about not an 80-year life now, okay? We're talking about 100-year life. Yeah, so Christy said, yes, confinement leave is so expensive. Correct, because they're important from overseas also. So if, let's say, right, we can, redesign the way that we look at expressing, these type of work, in terms of getting local, support, I think, right, this will go a long way to helping our parents who are dealing with more than one child in the happy occasion of twins. I wish I had twins and triplets, but the other one too, thank you, Christy. And the other one too is, of course, right, for us to be able to create a very good ecosystem, that we can also support children, of different needs as well. So I think this is something that's very important. And without this, our moms, and I always hear this, moms, when they want to go back to work, right, always talk about how they need a peace of mind at home. So I think having this larger caregiving ecosystem will allow moms to go back with a peace of mind. You can take all the leave you want, but you won't have a peace of mind anymore, because all the women I know actually really want to do well at work as well as at home.
Yeah, actually, just to echo what Wan Ling mentioned, in fact, actually, it happened to two of my employees, specifically exactly in the COVID period. Yeah, so I just hired this, what is our food technologist, right? So when she was about to join, her helper needs to go back home.
Alamak.
Yeah, so then she
Did she
called
join
me
you
up.
in the end?
So we have to work out some flexible arrangement. So she said, Kelly, I couldn't join because nobody's going to take care. I may have to let go this opportunity. So we say
for her too,
yeah,
right?
yes, very sad. So we say no, let's work it out. Yeah, so maybe you don't need to work the full week, full time. Maybe we just start slow.
Yeah.
And so we managed to start slow, and true enough, I say, why don't we also help you to start searching the surrounding areas where there is daycare. I think that
yes,
infant care at the time was infant care.
Infant
right?
care,
So
infant care, because
not 2 years.
Yes.
Yes. So in fact, after that,
But
she started slowly, and in the end, now she's back into the workforce with us full time. So yeah, which is good actually.
But Kelly, that's a beautiful story, and actually I really want to commend Nissin for doing this. I actually think in order for females to return to work successfully, besides this ecosystem, our employers also can exercise forms of job redesign, even when it comes to the hours. Yeah. So thank you very much. That was a wonderful,
So maybe for me, it's I would like to also share about my experience as well. Interestingly, even before I joined this organization about 4.5 years ago, right? So even prior to that, I have a team member of about 13. Before I joined, there's already 3 of them in the team itself that's pregnant. That was over the span of 3 years, I have 8 of them, and 1 is actually a repeated birth. So what we did was going back to Wan Lin's point about setting the ecosystem, right? So what we did was, because the age are about the same, and also about about the same time where they are delivering, right? So we actually set a small ecosystem within the few of them, right, to actually support them. And also internally also, right, we actually also work it in a way that, right, we support them in terms of some of the tasks, because the great experience that I got after having 8 of my members gone for birth, delivery, and all those things is that, right, the first few months when they come back, right, they need a lot of support. And that's where, those who actually came back earlier can actually play a part to actually support one another. And this is also something that I felt that's very passionate about. We can even build an ecosystem of all this support within an organization itself to help these ladies and sharing our experience, right? And this is something that we have actually started also.
Wow.
Where, even looking at women who is actually pregnant, even pre-pregnancy and during their pregnancies, right? What are the support that they need? And also, before they came back, right, we actually even gone to the extent of sensitizing some of the important stakeholders, right, to be more sensitive about the needs that they want.
Wow,
because initially, after that few months they are away, right, they will feel, the jittery to come back, right? And this is especially when I speak to my members, they are saying that, oh, Duane, I really do not know, how is it like and all those things. I realized that first couple of months is actually very challenging, and they cannot bear to let go of their kids at home. This is the part where they felt that it's like that pain,
Yeah,
and I really feel sorry.
onshore, right?
And I really feel sorry because you see, I need them to come back, but at the end of the day, you see, so in a way, it's that support mechanism and that experience sharing really bonds them more and making them feel that we understand. You may not be able to come back full force, but at least you are back. You need to slowly, make arrangements and back, and that's where the issues of the maid and all those things starts to happen, right? But I think the support behind is really very important to help them to address those issues as well.
Actually, right, I'm hearing, right, Kelly and Duane, I think, right, you guys are excellent, like HR practitioners, and your companies are fabulous. Maybe one of the things that we can do over the Women and Family Unit, not together with the rest of the NTUC family, because NTUC got Fair Price Lab, but we got Learning Hub and all that, right, is maybe we can, come up with things in which we can equip our companies, our partner companies, right, to support our women better. I remember last time we have a program, right? Okay, it's very cheesy, don't laugh, okay? The name of the program was called Project Liquid Gold. You know what it is? Yeah, you know what it is. Don't laugh, okay? It's actually, but I think it's very important, it's actually helping companies, right, set up lactation rooms.
Yeah,
and it's part of the larger ecosystem. So maybe this is something that we can do, we can do together. Then, like, even like for moms who are a little bit jittery coming back to work, maybe one other thing we can even work with Sean's side, on that Learning Hub side, to see whether or not we can even do like confidence course, or like how do you balance, right, your feeling of longing and all that. And for most moms, when they come back, right, after 4 months, I think they're still also breastfeeding, and it's not just psychological, it's biologically, right, we're made, right, to feel bad when we separate from our kids, so I think all these are, you're absolutely right, Duane, we need to go and support our moms through this and keep them in the workforce.
And actually, make them confident again that, they are no different before and now. They are still able to be as competent as they are, right?
Correct.
So I think this is something that, they just need to go through that trying period. After that, they are, good again. But the trying period is that the support is actually very much needed.
Yes. Hey, actually, Lydia is also correct, because I was just going to talk about this. So we're talking about kids and all that. Actually, right, for most of us ladies, we're actually, right, the butter in between two pieces of bread.
Yes.
Right. Yes. So it's,
sorry, ladies. I hear that you are having a fantastic
sorry.
about this. No, it's fantastic. I love how the conversation is just flowing very naturally. But because we only have an hour for this, I do need to move on.
Sorry.
Yeah, and I do think that Lydia and an anonymous attendee has actually shedding light to our next topic, which is about flexible work arrangement. Okay, so we've got somebody who's anonymous who's asking, is it possible that parents with newborn twins, etc., work remotely at home? And then similarly, Lydia as well as Yen Li are all saying that, what about those who need to take care of their elderly parents? So what kind of flexible work arrangements can they actually explore? So perhaps you ladies can shed some light on that, please.
Okay, maybe I start first. Okay, essentially what happens, right, is that the Women and Family Unit, right, and all our predecessors, actually our Women and Family Unit last time, right, the boss used to be President Halimah. So she was like the original champion. So one of the things that we've been promoting all these 20 years is actually flexible work arrangement. Okay, and actually it was it was headwinds all the way. A lot of companies say cannot, like this is unproductive. But then I always believe even the worst of situations, right, if you're positive, right, you see a silver lining. And in all the horribleness, right, of COVID-19, there was one silver lining that happened. It was actually companies had no choice. 100% of all companies actually had to adopt some form of flexible work arrangements. Now, I want to say that flexible work arrangements isn't only work from home. It isn't that. Okay, work from home is one type, or remoting is actually one type. Essentially, flexible work arrangements is many different ways that you can look at it. So some of it, right, is looking at part timing. Some of it is looking at even in a day itself, you come in later. So a lot of, it's not a bad choice if, let's say, you have kids and you need to pick up your kids, from school and then come to work. Or now I see a lot of parents actually also need to take care of their elderly at home, their seniors at home. So they drop them off at a daycare center also. And so it's all various things like this. So you can actually report to work earlier, and or later, and then similarly, right, your end time is also, changed. So also at the same time, besides working from home, you can also be working remotely from somewhere else. So flexible work arrangements are many different types. And I think right over at the Women and Family Unit here, one of the things that we are trying to do now is not only to promote these different types of flexible work arrangements, but it's also, right, what's the aftermath of it. So there are some, and I think Kelly and Duane, because I guess all of you can shed more light into this, but we also have heard that there's some people who are worried that if, let's say, I work from home and another colleague in the same role works in the office and the boss is always in the office, will I be, unfairly penalized? I think all these things will be the dampener, to the fabulous tailwinds that we're having now with flexible work arrangements. And I think, right, as an industry, we need to make sure that all these, right, are actually taken care of. Okay, sorry. So, yeah, I'll pause here for now.
Actually, so actually for us, I think the first thing to really change is, contractual. There's always contractual that you do. So what we put actually is no longer like your office hours is 8:30 to 9, not scrapped. I think these are all gone. So now the more is more, a week is 44 hours. So how you use the 44 hours is generally based on work, the function, right? Other than, I must still say, in the manufacturing line, we still have to do that. But outside the manufacturing line, I think this is probably gone, right? Yeah, it is no longer so applicable anymore. So if you hear candidates, actually, when we do recruitment, they will say, do you have flexible work hours? Actually, we say yes, 44 hours a week. Up to you. You feel like you need to come to work in the office to use the equipment, by all means. If not, then work from home. As long as you deliver. So I think it has progressed. And yeah, thanks to COVID, actually, it pushes every one of us to change. Yeah. And even the hot office is becoming a hot desk rather than, so no more assignment of desk. Seriously. Yeah. Which is a good thing. Yeah.
It is, and it helps like save resources for companies as well. Then they can put this to other better employee benefits.
Yep.
So I think one thing with regards to the point that you mentioned about whether will I have a disadvantage and and all those things, right? You see, as long as there's clear KPIs that's actually been established, right? At the end of the day, we look at the performance, right? You can be office camping 24 hours a day, camping or whatever, right? But if you're not able to deliver, so I don't think that actually is that factor, but I think importantly, right, the clear roles and targets and all those things needs to be measurable to a certain extent as well. That will definitely also help to ease some of the uncomfortable, where, my colleagues able to return to work if I'm not able to return to work. At the end of the day, it's really about the productivity and that delivery, right? That is really the most important.
True.
And this is something that we look for.
Yeah.
True.
I think in a sense we have to be grateful to COVID for propelling work from home, because it was not an option. It had to be done given the situation of the pandemic back then. So of course, on top of that, I guess, while a lot of these kind of flexible work arrangements can be in place, it's also a bit of your luck whether or not you meet a good boss. If they are very micromanagers, which is why I think I hear some of the complaints in the chat function. Like Yenli was asking, what's the advice for women, if they want to bring up the topic to the employer on, can I work as part-time? They are afraid that the employer will want to dismiss the staff or deduct brownie points off that staff. Any advice for them?
Okay, from the labor movement, from the unions, right? They cannot, unless, right, they have very valid reasons, right, to share with you why your job, right, cannot be a part-time job. But ideally, in the best practice, they must offer you another role within the organization. And if employers, treat you in that way, you actually, right, will be able to go, to get mediation done. Okay, so in Singapore, our Ministry of Manpower, together with the NTUC, we actually have, a TADM mediation center that allows you, right, to voice your grievances against a employer who does that. But of course, please have a chat with your employer first lah. Don't immediately go to to court. Otherwise, also very very awkward, right, for you to stay there for the long term. On both sides, right, we also need to, let both sides, right, come. In Chinese, like 下台, both need to, elegantly get off the stage. Yeah, but the answer is no, you cannot do that.
Yep. So I think even from a company's perspective, right, we don't allow that. We even have a portal for ethics concerns, right? Any of such behavior or practices, right, it's definitely employees as an avenue to actually bring up as well. Because ultimately, we have to embrace that diversity that every one of us have at a certain point in time, their special needs, right? and then this is not something that is actually acceptable in the organization also. And that is why that portal is something that we have actually catered for employees such concerns and feedbacks, and we will need to investigate it in all these cases.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So we've got Colleen over here asking, would there be any support given to mothers who have left the workforce to take care of their children and would like to return back to work? Would we be able to perhaps explore some form of flexi working arrangements for them? I mean, I guess the mothers also need to ease into the workflow all over again.
Okay, I will start again because I will talk about the general. Okay, then I'm very sure, right, that Duane and Kelly, right, their companies being so progressive, right, they have their own, various localized ways of helping our females come back to work. So I must say that the Women and Family Unit, we work together with 330,000 female workers. Okay, and a substantive number of them are actually women who are considering returning to work, or women, right, who perhaps, right, have retired, and they actually want to continue to be productive. And by far, we see that there's actually two things, right, that stops them from doing so. Okay, the first thing, right, is actually confidence level. You'll be surprised. A lot of people will come to me and say that, hey, Wan Ling, I actually, right, left the workforce 6 years ago because, right, my kid was going to primary 1. Okay, and I wanted to spend time with my child, but now that she's completed, her PSLE and going to Sec 1, I feel I want to go back to work. But it's 6 years of being away, and the world has changed so much. Okay, and so what happens is that there is a confidence issue here, and I think, right, this is something that we're working with Learning Hub, to come up with programs, right, to boost this confidence. A lot of it's self-mastery. The second one, right, is actually knowing what to equip yourself with if you're returning to work, right, from a very long hiatus, or if you're thinking of pivoting. But a lot of it, right, also has to do with self-discovery. What is it, right, that you want to do? For a lot of retirees, we find that they actually pivot into a totally new industry. It could be something, right, that they wanted to do in their youth, but they had no chance to pursue, or something, right, along the way, as they gain experience, and gain a lot of networks and all that field that they want to do. So one of the things that we are also working with the Learning Hub is actually to equip our females with this type of skill sets, whether or not it is going into a new industry or whether or not it's even setting your own home-based businesses. So there is a teacher. I know a lot of people like to bake, but it's very different baking, right, for your pleasure, right, versus baking, right, 100 cakes in a day. So I actually attended a course like this with Learning Hub, and I found out that actually it is a different one, no? So I think all these are necessary skill sets that we have. And one of the things that I've always told, right, Learning Hub, can you make the learning fun and relatable? Don't be so fierce, with the 老师 down there, right? Say, oh, must do exams, that kind of stuff. It must be something fun and relatable, approachable, so that people, right, again, would have the confidence and all that when they do the courses with. And I'm very happy because I saw that recently they did one Facebook live streaming, and they did it with Chen Jianping as the trainer. So it was very relatable and quite funny. And useful. Important thing, useful. Okay, sorry. So I'll pause here.
Or Dwayne?
Yep. So I actually would like to also do a sharing as well, right? One of the things that I realized from my team members who actually came back, right, they were actually extremely hard on themselves, right? And one moment they are actually very worried about their kids, they don't want to leave their kids, and then the moment that they expect that when they immediately the first day that they join, right, they will be able to deliver where they are before, right? So especially like what Wan Ling has mentioned, especially if you have been away for not just for 4 months, or if you have been away for a while, right, you need to give yourself some time to give yourself some soft landing back into the workforce, right? Because confidence level is also built along the way, right? So don't be overly hard on yourself, and don't push yourself too much, because what you need to look at, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So you need to pace yourself and then progressively, and that is really, really very important, because if you started off too much as a spring, right? And then you didn't make it, you will be like very discouraged, and that doesn't help with your confidence as well. So this is something that, you know, I see in terms of my 8 team members who actually went and came back, right? All of them has these challenges. First, they don't want to, you know, leave the baby at home, but yet when they want to give their full, you know, it's just not possible. You just have to progressively, you know, work on it. Yeah. So this is just something that I would like to also share as well.
Yes, definitely. I think it's definitely not being a woman. That's something that we can all agree on unanimously. Okay. So yes, I unfortunately, because of time, I do need to move on to the next topic, which is about workplace discrimination and workplace harassment. So just in the end of last year, November, December 2020, Singapore Chinese Chamber of Commerce and Industry have conducted a survey. Okay. So they've surveyed close to 400 people in Singapore, and the results found that 4 in 10 women encountered gender discrimination at work, while only 1 in 10 men experienced the same. So ladies, how can we resolve this? Any golden nuggets of advice? What do you think can be done to bring down gender discrimination at work?
Okay, I can start first again. So I actually think, right, that this is not something to be trifled with, you know, and there's no even one case, right, of sexual harassment is one case too many. Okay, and I think it's devastating, you know, for any employee to face this. Now, but one of the things that we also realize, you know, over at the Women and Family Unit, because we're advocacy unit, right? We also found out that there are many companies out there who actually do not, what do you call that? Do not really have the proper SOPs in place, you know, to deal with an employee who comes to share on very briefly, so you know, on issues, right, of with their colleagues, or in certain cases, right, even with their managers. One of the worst examples that I've seen, right, was an employer coming to me and say, what did I do wrong? This employee told me, right, that she was being harassed by her boss. And so I put the two of them together in one room for them to talk it out. I think both Kelly and Duane is like, oh my God. Yes, but you know, so I think, right, in the most good intentions, I think a lot of the employers are not so, you know, well equipped with what to deal with such things, and especially a lot of the SMEs. And because of this, we actually have set up both tripartite guidelines, you know, as well, right, as work groups, right, to look at this. Harassment, right, can come in all forms, you know, it can come in physical, verbal forms, and actually everyone's threshold is also different. So we're also, right, careful not to put in what you call that very fixed ways of defining what harassment is. But it's to us, right, it's something that's a little bit more on a personal level. And so one of the things that we are also doing is that we're working with our counterparts over at the okay, so NTUC has an SME unit. Okay, so we're working, right, with all the taukies down there, the bosses, the HR there, you know, to give them, right, a list of guidelines as well as standards, you know, to make sure that everybody has awareness on this. Now, on something that's less, which is discrimination, workforce discrimination. Yes, correct. Eve, you're right. I think women need to be aware of their rights, you know, and yes. So back to what I was saying, right, is that in terms of discrimination, i.e., right, people might ask you questions like, "Oh, you have children, is it?" when you want to, you know, get a job. I think it's okay to ask that question in an interview, but right, your employer needs to tell you why are they asking that question. You know, instead of making a judgment on whether you can do that job or not just because you have kids. And because of that, now you see, Henny also have heard it. And because of this, we do have a tripartite, what do you call that, work group that's set up, right, on fair hiring practices. And we also have TAFEP, which is actually a platform that goes after employers, you know, who are unfairly, you know, treating the employee whether or not it's gender or otherwise, during the hiring as well as, the working process. So there are all these like catch-alls, and do know that we are actually going out quite actively, right, to engage with companies, to make sure that they know they have certain protocols and SOPs set up, when dealing with this.
But I must add on, sometimes asking those questions is about knowing that individual, not necessary for discrimination, because I do, talk to candidates and say, tell me about yourself. Yeah, which sometimes they got a shock. It's like, about myself, not about the job. No, it's about yourself. The key reason why I ask that is so that at least we know what they need. Sometimes they say, oh, in the morning I have to rush to send my kids to work before I can reach home. So when we know their way of working or about them, then it's much easier for us to say, hey, maybe you can actually work out with your supervisor. Don't come in so late. No need to come in or rush all the way. Come in at 8:30, 9 or 10, and then work through. So there are the other side of it as well. Yeah. So I think it's a good point. I think we also need to identify the certain maybe clues, whether discrimination or not. And I think if you sense that there is, it's good, like Wan Ling says, talk to somebody to get it addressed, and don't let it, sleep like under the carpet or sweep under the carpet. It's good to raise it up. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, we do have a number of ladies all sharing their grievances over here. So thank you very much. We definitely hear you. I think at the end of the day, what we would like to recognize is that we are trying our best to resolve the issues. But unfortunately, societal norms, whether or not we agree with it, is something that has been formed across so many years, right? So it's not easy, and it's not something that we can eradicate immediately. We do need time and a lot of effort. But we definitely hear you. So of course, I understand the time now is 3:55. Can I just check with Wan Ling, Kelly, and do you have anything that you need to rush into? We may just overrun a little bit.
I think it's okay to overrun a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, me too.
I'm good.
Great. Okay. Before we move on, okay, I will first like to get Kemi, because we do have a number of questions from everybody. We will be taking the questions in just a bit. But before that, over here at NTUC, we really want to encourage all women who have been away from the workforce to return back to work again. You would definitely have a lot of fears, a lot of insecurity, perhaps some guilt, like what our speakers have mentioned, to be away from your loved ones, be it the elderly or the children at home. So right now, we'd like to have Kemi from NTUC L Hub to share with us more about 3 pathways that all of you can explore and consider. Kemi, please.
Thank you, Kimmy. So just hold on. Okay, so very good afternoon to everybody who attended the webinar with us today, and a big thank you to the 3 different guests that came in to speak about some of the women rights. So for me to move on, okay, so what's next for women that are intending to come back into the workforce? So basically, we are looking into having 5 different steps for you. So the first step would be having 3 available pathways. Okay, so the first one would be SGUS program, second would be the professional conversion program, and third would be the business skills. Okay, so step 2 will be more about knowing yourself. So you have to understand your career aspirations. So you can do so by signing up for the Career Agility Hub. So I believe that probably after this webinar, you should receive an email for this Career Agility Hub. So Career Agility Hub will do a skills-based matching whereby you can understand your strength. Okay, so after you do that, you can come to step 3 whereby you lay out what you need to upskill. Okay, so you can choose what is your preferred pathway before you go into it. And step 4, we have the Career Resilience Executive Workshop. In short, we call it CREW. So this is a 1-day workshop to help you in the upcoming career fair. Okay, so last but not least, step 5, we do have a virtual career fair that will be held from 15th to 30th December. Okay, So moving on, these are actually the three pathways that I mentioned in step 1 earlier. Okay, so the first one will be SGS program. So SGS programs are actually 6 months programs, and they have different career paths. So depending on what you would like to sign up for. And on top of that, in this 6 months program, you can be paid up to $1,200 of allowance per month. Okay, so on top of that, when you finish the program, you can actually be rewarded and certified in all the certificates. And pathway 2 will be the professional conversion program, whereby we do have different types of courses. For example, we do have diploma in HR. So these are actually the courses that you may want to see what type of industry you want to go into, and you can train them accordingly with us. And third of all would be business skills. So business skills would be different type of technical skills that you may want to take on before you rejoin back into the workforce. Okay, so I think a lot of people are not very confident after leaving the workforce for a while. So we would like to help you kickstart your momentum. So before you do so, the first thing we will need you to do is probably take a reflection of your career break. So find the main reason why you actually took the break in the first place. Okay. Second of all, you will need to review your current achievements. So you need to have a clear understanding of what you have already achieved as of date and what you do not have. Next is to determine what you want to achieve. So this is very important because we will need you to set a direction for yourself. So you need to understand what are the types of jobs that you would like to look in, which industry you would like to go back into. Then you can set the correct direction before looking for it. Next will be networking. So networking would be very crucial because you have to gain exposure to different work opportunities and environment. So you have to understand how different industry works and have a proper analysis of what you really want to do before you jump back into the career. So this is actually very important. Next would be familiarizing yourself with current trends. So some people may have been away for 6 years. For example, there was a participant that was away for 6 years. So maybe trying to come back into the workforce now, it may feel very distant from technology today, because technology will be something that is constantly advancing. Okay, so you need to understand what are the current trends and technologies before you can come back into the workforce to adapt faster. So next will be improving your skills. So this actually links back to why you have to review your current achievements, because you need to know what you already have and what you do not have. So you can look into some of the skills that you may need to improve before you come back. So this is to boost a bit of confidence before you come back into the workforce. Okay, last but not least, that would be to secure the job. So this is whereby you attend for interviews and secure the job. So this was the crew workshop that I was referring to earlier in the first slide. So crew is actually meant to assist professionals, managers, executives, and technicians who are in career transition. So this will be a one-day workshop, and there will be upcoming two different days for this workshop. That will be on the 8th of December and also 15th December. But I need participants to take note that if you have already applied for a crew previously, you will not be able to come in for this crew again. So everybody is only subjected to one time. Okay. Okay, so moving on, there are actually 4 important skill sets that we need you to have before you can come back into the workforce. So these are actually very fundamentals of be it which industry you're looking to go into. These are very fundamental skills that you should already have. But if you do not possess the following, then it is okay, because in Learning Hub, we do have 4 different courses that can help you with this skill set. So the first one would be the course that will help you in building up your technology and advancements would be Skill Future for Digital Workplace. So this course will talk more about teaching you how to get ready for the future advancements and how to get connected with the current technologies as of today. So the other 3 will be the basic Microsoft Office. So that will be Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. So irregardless of any sectors that you're looking to go into, these 4 skills are very important before you can come back into the workforce. Okay, so I understand that probably some of you do not know where to start. So we have planned out 3 different pathways today. This is mainly for reference. So maybe some of you may look into doing your own business. Then this is actually meant for aspiring entrepreneurs. So there are 7 courses that are lined up today for you. So these 7 courses would actually, by the end of the 7 courses, you should be able to help yourself to run your own business successfully. So I think due to time constraint, I will not go in depth onto the separate courses. But if you'd like to know more about these separate courses, you can take down the QR code that I will share later and drop us a message, and we will have a course consultant to reach back to you. Okay. So next will be the project management professionals. So we have 6 courses that were lined out for people who do not have any basic experience in project management, but you will want to learn where to start from. So these are the courses that will bring you through. Last but not least would be the data analytics. So these are also 7 courses, and as mentioned, similarly like the previous one, these are actually meant for people with no experience. So you can take on these courses to gain certain experience before coming back into the sector. Okay, so this is actually the QR code. If you are interested in any of the pathways or any of the courses that you need extra information, do scan this QR code, and you'll be directed to a WhatsApp chat whereby you can leave your inquiries with us, and a course consultant will get back to you. So alternatively, you may call us at these 2 numbers. Sorry, the first number, which is 6336-5482. Okay. So now we move on to the Q&A. So we are open to any of the questions that you have. We will try to answer them. Otherwise, we will get back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Kemi. Kemi, could you just unshare your screen? Thank you very much. All right, so everybody, thank you. First of all, thank you, Kemi, for rushing through the presentation. I know I didn't give you too much time on that, so sorry. So everybody, in case you missed Kemi's slide, I've just put in the WhatsApp number that you can actually refer to. Okay, so the handphone number is there. Feel free to take it down so that you can find out more about the courses. All right, so to my 3 panelists, we will be moving on with the Q&A right now. It's amazing to see that many of our audience are definitely very engaged in the conversation that we are in. First of all, they have a question like, is there an official website that they can refer to regarding legal rights? Anybody who would be able to advise on this?
Yes, most definitely. There are many websites that you can look at. You know, I mean, of course, one of the first ones that you can go is actually the NTUC Women and Family website. This is I actually have answered about 12 questions during Kemi's very good introduction to the programs, you know, because I heard it before, you know, so I answered about 12, and I did put in some of the links there. Please go and take a look. It's in the Q&A button. The other one too is that you can actually go to TAFEP and TADM's website to take a look there. That they have, like, you know, a good listing of all the legal rights, as well as, you know, the tripartite standards that good companies, right, need to adhere to.
All right, thank you very much. Wan Ling, we do have a question for you. There are many audience members who are asking that they are not NTUC members. So can they still get consultation from NTUC, or how does it work?
So our hashtag, right, is members first, workers always. So yes, you know, as females, we're always here for you at the union, but we hope that you will join us as members. So, you know, if you're an NTUC member, I think it costs like $117, you know, a year. Besides, you know, having NTUC to help represent you, you know, when you have workforce grievances, there's also a whole host of other protection and privileges that you'll get. This includes, like, for instance, you know, additional income. Income as in our insurance companies, you know, insurance protection, and also at the same time, you will also get a lot of privileges, like, you know, from Fair Price, of course, the points, you know. Yeah, so there is quite a lot of things, and it's definitely worth the $117.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, so we've got an anonymous attendee who's asking that, while on maternity, let's say she herself, a mother, she wants to upgrade her skills, okay, before returning to work. So is there a need to inform her employer, especially if the courses taken are, based on her own self-interest, and it could be, depending on the duration of the course, it could continue even after the maternity leave is over. So is
Okay.
there a need to inform the employer in this instance?
Okay, so I'm going to answer it this way. Essentially, what happens, right, is that maternity leave, right, is actually meant for mummies to recover physically, lah. So I hope that mummies can use, right, the maternity leave to really recover, because I mean, I'm a bit auntie lah, but I'll tell you, I got some friends who never take care of themselves, right, and they really suffer, they hong sit and all that, right, later on in their lives. But if you feel you can do it, there is a lot of programs out there, like Skills Future and all that. Skills Future is actually not tied to a company, it's tied to your own self. And there are many, many, many programs out there for your own interest. So I don't think anyone's stopping you. But I would encourage you to have a very open, and non-toxic, conversation with your company. Because if you have a certain interest, perhaps, right, this is something that can also be a win-win in your work with the company. Example, I have a lady who was a shop floor assistant. Okay, and then she actually loved photography. And so she went to take up, right, an upskilling course in photography. And she went to talk to her employer. You know what she does now? She does all their social media. Because social media is now about pictures, right? Yeah. So, I mean, there's many, many good stuff. And I would really, really think, right, that it is better to have an open relationship with your employer than, to have something that is very close and secretive, because it can definitely lead to toxicity.
Kelly and Green, any advice on this? Any additional info you want to chip in?
Yeah, I think agree. Definitely, it's good to discuss, because sometimes it helps us to redeploy as well. Yeah, I have a staff who is in a manufacturing as well, and he say, I'm actually taking a finance course. So we say, wow, that's very good. Let's say when you finish, maybe we can transition you to go into the finance, department also. So actually, that's quite good if you have that conversation. It helps the redeployment of the resource.
Green, I see you unmute. Do you want to talk?
So I think just to add on the point, I think I actually agree with what Wan Ling has mentioned, right? Because ultimately, you see, as an eagerness to come back, you might not be resting enough. I think that's really the key focus, right? Because ultimately, you see, you have a long tenure ahead of you, right? So it's really about, not going after the short term, then you've forgotten that you're actually coming back for the longer term, right? So I think that marathon is actually very important. Also, I think within the organization itself, I mentioned that we have a program, right? That before employees come back, right, we already reevaluate their skill sets and where they are, because it may not be just that 16 weeks, right? Because we are also talking about people who is actually away for years or so, or even father themselves, or men who is actually be away or taking no pay leave, or, and all those things, right? So you see, these are the things that, it's actually something that we encouraged. But I think the crux of it is that don't stretch yourself during this period.
Yes, that's true.
There must eat good food.
From a very Chinese perspective, if you don't take care of yourself during maternity, you'll suffer the rest of your life.
Yeah, you're hong sit for the rest of your life. And must eat good food. Don't always think of just slimming down.
Yes. Okay. There have been a few questions about workplace harassment, like if it's the boss who's being unfair to you, doing unwelcome advances, or like there has been unfair treatment, because a lot of them have been talking about termination. It's not just they suddenly throw out the letter, or the golden handshake. It's more of like it has been happening throughout the course of time. What can they do? Because I guess as an employee, you'd be worried that if I voice out, then immediately I'll be sacked. So would you have?
But you must say something. Yeah. Don't dance in silence. Come on. But I know it's scary, lah. Yes. That's why just now I preface it by saying that I really thank all the ladies who come out to bravely say it. But if you don't say it, or you don't know how to reject, it will perpetuate. Confirm one. it will perpetuate. But
Yep.
what we can do is to create the kind of safety nets, right? To make sure that if you report, you know, the case will be looked into and investigated. Okay, sorry, Joanne, I cut you off just now. 不好意思.
No, it's okay. I just wanted to also elaborate on your point, which I totally agree, right? You accept what you get and you get what you accept. Always
Yeah.
need to remember, right? Don't always see yourself as the victim. You have a choice. Your choice is what decision you decided to take after that, which is actually very, very important, right? Know your rights as a woman and actually know your rights as a human being. We have a choice, right? You know,
Yeah.
and please don't feel that, you know, you are stuck. There are a lot of avenues out there, which I think Wan Ling has also mentioned already. Within organizations, there are also plenty of avenues you can go to. Right? For us, we have an ethics portal. You can go to your HR department, and there's also TADEM and all those things, right? Do something about it. You
Yeah.
should not suffer in silence. And you
Yeah,
should
don't.
not.
Yeah, don't. Must say.
Speak up. Yeah, it doesn't matter where you are, what position you hold. Yeah. So
Yeah.
even I mean, just to share one very trivial case. So she felt this is a production worker. Yeah. So she felt that she is being shouted at every time and called stupid continuously by the engineer. So that's terrible. Yeah, you're right. So I think she, after thinking a while, you know, she came to the HR and said, you know, what can I do, you know? And so after that, we actually get him to apologize and not to repeat it. Otherwise, he will face disciplinary. So I think it's good to speak up. Yeah, although she struggled a little bit as well. Yeah.
All right, thank you so much. So ladies, before we end, thank you so much to all of our fantastic attendees. We've got an overwhelming questions, you know, from all of you. I think this is a very fantastic conversation that we have had today. We look forward to having even more in the future. For now, I'd like to take a photograph with my panelists. So could you just adjust yourself, adjust your hair, your makeup, make sure you look your best, because ladies must look good. All right. Yes, look at the camera, smile in 3, 2, 1. Okay, crew, do you have it? Let me just check with the crew if they've gotten the photo. Would our crew have the photo? Okay, I think they may have. Okay, maybe just one more time, just in case, okay? So sorry about that. Look at the camera again. 3, 2, 1. All right, I hope they've gotten it this time around. All right, so with that, everybody, thank you so much for joining us, and a special shout out to Wan Ling, Dwayne, Kelly. Thank you so much for your time, your sharing, and I see, you know, there's a lot of overwhelming response in the chat function right now.
Still happening.
So yes, I believe that this is the start of a beautiful conversation. We're definitely having more time to come, and ladies, you know, if there's anything that you brought away from today's session, we hope that you know that we are definitely here for all of you. Like mentioned before, issues with your workplace, societal norms, it's not something that we can resolve, you know, in the blink of an eye. We do need time and a lot of effort and a lot of combined effort. So by hearing all of your feedback, it is through this you know, combined effort that we are able to propel forward. So thank you so much for your generous sharing to both of our panelists as well as our audience. We definitely feel that. And of course, we hope all of you have enjoyed yourself, have benefited from this. So, you know, like I'm going to sell a bit of goyo over here. If you're not yet an NTUC member, please sign up with us, because when you are a member, you get first-hand dips. You get updates about, you know, when we're going to have more of these sessions, so that all of you will be able to benefit from it. So thank you so much once again. And thank you to Wan Ling, Dwayne, Kelly, as well as all of our organizers. Thank you, everybody. Have a fantastic day ahead. Happy weekend. Enjoy.
Thank you, Learning Hub.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.